Okay, it's a beautiful day here in Lincoln, so I am sat outside to do today's video, which is all about, are you a pushy parent or a narcissistic parent? Because I think some of us find it quite difficult that when we're encouraging our children, and when they reach a certain age where they're, let's face it, they're a bit lazy, and we have to kind of push them in some ways, does that make us narcissistic? And so I wanted to talk about this to kind of explain the difference, essentially. So a pushy parent is one who they want them to achieve the best in life, but it comes from a place of good intentions. They maybe have struggled themselves growing up and don't want their child to suffer, and want them to get a good job and have a good life, because they don't want them to struggle when they're an adult. And they can be a little bit pushy. They can want them to do things that maybe the child isn't 100% on board with, but they're not completely unhappy about it. And like I say, it comes from a place of good intention. And I'm sure if it was pointed out to that parent, then that the child was unhappy, or that the child didn't want to do it, then they would absolutely stop, and they would want what's in the best interest of that child. A narcissistic parent will push for completely different reasons. They will push because it makes them look good, and they won't stop. They don't care whether the child's happy or not. They don't care if the child cries because they don't want to go to this group, or they don't want to do these extra laps, or whatever it is. They don't care. They will push them because ultimately their motivation is different. Pushy parents' motivation is that they want the child to have the best. The narcissistic parents' motivation is that they want the child to be the best so that they look good. And so if at times you felt like you're a pushy parent, look at your motivation. If it comes from the best of intention places, and actually the last thing you would want is for your child to be unhappy, but you feel that it's encouraging, what you do is more encouraging. And yeah, sometimes they do need a kick up the backside, and actually in the long run they do enjoy it, and they do say thanks at the end of it. Obviously narcissistic parents aren't interested in that. All they're interested in is the payback. They're interested in them getting the top results. They're interested in them winning the awards, not because the child wants to win the awards, but because they do, because it makes them feel good, it makes them feel better. They take on the praise, they take on the adoration, they look like this perfect parent. And so it all does come down to the motivation. Now from the child's perspective, they'll know that as well. A child of a pushy parent will know that they can say, no, I really don't want to do this, and they'll get a bit aggro about it, and they'll push against it, and they'll know that their mum or dad will back down. A narcissistic child probably won't even bother trying. They will initially, they will cry that they don't want to go in the hope that someone will listen, but eventually they'll just give up, and they'll just go, and they'll turn up to whatever it is, because they lose their will to fight, because they know that it's pointless. And that child learns very early on that their likes and dislikes, their wants, what's important to them, if something makes them happy, it's not important. They learn that it's not about them. They learn that it's about the parent. And so they present very differently. They present in the group as either being just very quiet, or they present as being trying really super duper hard because they're terrified of letting the parent down. So it might be that they get really upset if they make a mistake. They get really upset if they don't win. It's an extreme response. And here's Bailey, come say hello. Whereas a pushy parent's child will, yeah, they'll be disappointed, but you know what, they'll be fine, because they know that they're still loved regardless. But a narcissistic parent's love is conditional. It's conditional upon the child giving the narcissist what they want. And so if you're working with children, or you are around parents that you think it's a little bit odd, and you've maybe called them a pushy parent, look for that distinction. Look for that distinction within the parent. If you're co-parenting with a narcissist and you know that they do this, be aware of how your child is feeling. Your child is feeling that their wishes and feelings aren't important, and that they do these things not out of enjoyment, they do them out of duty. And make sure that you help them to do things that they do enjoy. get them to share with you what activities are important to them, and encourage them in those activities, not because of any other reason other than the fact they just can have fun doing it. Make sure that you don't put any expectations on those things. If they're good at it, great. If they're not and they still enjoy it, great as well. It doesn't matter, and I'm sure you know that. But I wanted to do this video because I know that it can be really disconcerting when you hear something said and you can misinterpret it and feel, oh my god, am I a narcissistic parent? When actually it might just be a little bit pushy, a little bit encouraging, but ultimately you're doing it for the good of your children and you have their best interest at heart. So I hope you found that helpful. Please do share with anyone that you think it would that would benefit from it. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and like and comment. That would really help with the engagement as well.